I've been a retirement advisor now for over 20 years. And these are three shocking retirement statistics that I wish everybody knew, because if we knew these things, we would live our life differently in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and even 50s. Let's jump in. The first one, believe it or not, 80% of all Americans have less than $100,000 saved for retirement. That's not much money at all. $100,000 is not going to get you far in retirement, especially considering what the average Social Security check is, which I'll share with you in a moment. Is number two shocking statistic. But let's look at this first one. Okay, this is a chart that shows how much Americans have saved for retirement. And it's almost 50% have $0. I don't know what people are thinking. That is absolutely nuts. Okay, and I don't want to be insensitive. I know that there's folks that are doing everything that they can and are saving what they can, but unfortunately it's zero. But 50% of all Americans don't have $1 saved for retirement? I'm sorry, but that is crazy. Okay, from $1 to $10,000, it's almost 9% of Americans. From $10,000 to $50,000, it's 13% of Americans. From $50,000 to $100,000, it's 7.4% of Americans. So let's add all that up, and we get to almost 80% of Americans have less than $100,000. Okay, now we're picking up almost 15 percentage points. 13.9% have $100,000 to $500,000. Now we're getting somewhere. I think, once you're getting into the $500,000 zone, I think that gives you a buffer. I think you can probably plan on a safe retirement, a comfortable retirement with a roof over your head, food on the table, but additional money to do some fun things, right? It's not just about living to 80 or 85, but it's enjoying the journey along the way. Frankly, the definition of hell to me is, if I'm 75 or 80 years old and I'm not enjoying my life, and money's only a part of that. But, I only want to be hanging around here as long as I'm enjoying life. What's the purpose of that? So to have meaningful relationships with people and to have something that gets me excited to wake up in the morning. And boy, if you've got $100,000 or less for retirement, it's going to be tough. Now, I should say, in much of the world, folks don't have a retirement account. They don't have a 401k, they don't have an IRA. Probably well over half of the world's population do not have retirement accounts. So instead of the IRA and the 401k, their retirement account is spelled KIDS. It's their kids. And you know what? If that's the culture you've been brought up in and your kids are okay with that, great. And frankly, there's a lot to be said for that. But here in the United States, it's kind of dog eat dog. And we have a culture, and in many ways, I wish we didn't have this culture where, our kids get sent out into the world, and then really it's on us, and we're kind of viewed to, fend for ourselves as adults, right? We don't want to be a burden to our adult kids, and I don't like that. I've seen other parts of the world. I've been fortunate. I've traveled to over 50 countries, and I've seen countries whose cultures are, it's multi-generational, and I think there's a lot of benefits to that. But here in the United States, that's really not our culture. So, and even if it is, if you have the ability to save $250,000, $500,000 before you retire, it's going to make a big, big difference. Okay, let's keep going on this chart. What percent of people have $500,000 to $1 million? That's 4%. And then $1 million to $5 million, now we're getting somewhere. These are going to be comfortable retirements. That's 3.1%. And then how many people have over $5 million saved for retirement? Obviously, that's a very small slice of the American population. It's 1/10 of 1%. Okay, that's shocking statistic number one. Shocking statistic number two is, what can you plan on for Social Security? In December of 2023, the Social Security Administration released what the average Social Security check was. Any guesses? Average Social Security check. So the average Social Security check in the United States is a little under $1,800. It's $1,767.03. So now, if that includes everybody, including people that retire early, all the way to people that start taking Social Security at 70 years old. Now, obviously, if you start taking it at 62, you're going to get quite a bit less. It's about 30% less that you're going to get if you start taking it before full retirement age. And if you wait, every year you wait past full retirement age, which for most of us watching this video is going to be 67. Every year you wait past that, you're going to get an 8% increase in your payment. So if you were supposed to get $2,000 when you turn 67, if you wait to 68, then that's going to be $2,160. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we talked about average retirement savings. We talked about Social Security check. That's a low Social Security check. If you're planning on living on Social Security, I hope you're planning on living on a lean retirement, because that's really what it's designed to do, is to keep a roof over your head, to put food on the table, and then really Medicare is designed for our healthcare needs. Although people are going to be surprised by this, but according to Fidelity, this should be really shocking rule number 3A. According to Fidelity, the average 65-year-old is going to have a little over $150,000 of medical expenses outside of what Medicare pays. So we think, when we get to 65, okay, we've got this health insurance thing covered. And we do, but we don't have it completely covered. It's $150,000 is what Fidelity has said. So if you're married, as a couple, you're looking at $300,000 in medical expenses that Medicare is not going to pay. And that does not include long-term care, which, the statistics are, if we make it to 65, 80% of us at some point are going to need long-term care. So these are kind of 3A and 3B, and long-term care can be quite expensive. So those are some other shocks, some sub-shocks, if you will. But let's move on to shocking statistic number 3. And it relates to number 2, where I talked about almost half of Americans have no money saved, and 80% have under $100,000 saved. But I think a fair critique of that shocking statistic number 2 is, yeah, so, retirement accounts, that's your 401ks and your IRAs. People that have money in the bank, okay, that's not a retirement account, so that didn't get counted in that. People that have home equity in their houses, that didn't get counted in it. So let's look at what the median household net worth is. So this is not just for one person. This is for if there's 2 adults in the household. This is for the combined for both adults. So what does that look like? Let's look at this chart here. Okay, for people that are under 35, the median net worth is just under $40,000. For 35 to 44, the median net worth is a little over $135,000. 45 to 54, now we're getting into that early retirement age. It's a little under $250,000. And this is net worth. I should back up and say, what is net worth? Net worth is the value of all of your assets minus your liability. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a house that's worth $500,000 and it's your only asset, and you have a $200,000 mortgage on that, right? So your net worth, if that was your only asset and your only liability, your net worth would be the $500,000 less the $200,000 mortgage. So your net worth would be $300,000. I hope that makes sense. So again, 45 to 54 is a little under $250,000. Towards the end of that, we're getting to the early retirement group. So what is the median net worth for people 55 to 64? Now we're in the core of when people are retiring. It's a little under $365,000. So you can see that having the home, I think the home is a big piece of this, because you look at the savings versus the net worth. Savings was what I talked about in number 1. You can see that the median is $365,000. So that's getting to be a decent comfort zone above and beyond Social Security. 65 to 74 is a little under 410,000, and 75 plus is a little, you can see people are starting to spend that money. It goes from a little under 410,000, 55 to 64, I'm sorry, 65 to 74. A little under 410,000, it drops down to $335,600. So those are the numbers. So the startling statistic number 3 is that the median household net worth is $410,000 for people 65 plus. Is that enough? I think you can get by, and you're just going to have to be careful on how you do your retirement planning. And related to that, it's not just about getting to that end goal of, hey, I want to be retired. It's also about enjoying the journey, and that's what this video up here is about, is 7 things I want you to stop doing in order to enjoy your 50s and 60s more. I'll see you in that video. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.